The Japanese deeply value their traditions and customs, with many diligently observing them. However, some traditions, particularly among younger generations, are met with resistance. One example is the celebration of a daughter's first menstruation. This isn't a celebration in the Western sense, but rather involves serving sekihan, red rice made with adzuki beans. The red color symbolizes happiness and celebration in Japanese culture, and sekihan is traditionally served at various festivals and auspicious occasions, including this one. However, the younger generation often finds this tradition intrusive, feeling uncomfortable with their family, including fathers and brothers, being made aware of this private milestone at such a young age. The surprise and subsequent reactions of family members, often portrayed humorously as awkward inquiries about a sudden holiday focused on red rice, highlight the generational clash surrounding this custom. The discomfort stems from a perceived lack of privacy and control over the announcement of this personal event. The continued practice of this tradition is highly questionable given the widespread negative sentiment amongst young Japanese women. The Seiza position, a formal kneeling posture, is another source of contention. Traditionally used during important ceremonies like weddings and funerals, it requires maintaining a rigidly upright seated position on the floor, which can be extremely uncomfortable and physically challenging, especially for extended periods. This practice stems from the historical lack of chairs in traditional Japanese settings. While increasingly uncommon due to the adoption of Western seating arrangements, the Seiza position remains a requirement at many formal occasions, particularly funerals. These events, often lengthy, place significant strain on participants. For older attendees, already potentially dealing with physical limitations, the discomfort associated with Seiza becomes even more pronounced. Consequently, the increased adoption of Western-style chairs at funerals and weddings reflects a societal shift prioritizing comfort and practicality over strict adherence to ancient customs. The persistence of Seiza at funerals, however, highlights a resistance to changing a deeply ingrained practice associated with showing respect for the deceased. The mandatory use of Inkan, or personal seals, for formal documentation is a significant source of frustration for many young Japanese. Unlike signatures, Inkan are custom-made seals, carrying individual names and often unique designs. They are legally binding and essential for all significant transactions like marriage registrations, property purchases, and employment contracts. The inconvenience stems from their physical nature. Misplacing the Inkan results in delays and bureaucratic hurdles. This is particularly problematic in today's remote work environments, where obtaining necessary approvals from colleagues or superiors requiring their Inkan can necessitate unnecessary office trips. The perceived inefficiency and inconvenience of this system, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic which increased remote work, has fueled calls for a transition to electronic signatures, despite the enduring significance of Inkan as a symbol of personal identification and authenticity. Uchiwai, the custom of reciprocating wedding gifts, is another source of resentment. Guests traditionally give monetary gifts or goshuugi to the wedding couple, but the couple is expected to return a portion, usually around half, to their guests. This is meant to be a sharing of happiness, extending the joy of the event to the giver's wider network of family and friends. However, it is viewed as cumbersome and financially burdensome by many young couples. This process often involves meticulous record-keeping to ensure fair reciprocity. While services exist to simplify the process, often utilizing gift catalogs with preset price points for return gifts, replacing monetary returns, the inherent obligation remains a source of stress. The practice of reciprocating gifts from around 100 to 150 guests or even more creates significant financial and logistical demands that contradict the celebration's intention, creating instead a sense of obligated repayment. Finally, the yearly gift-giving traditions of Oseibo and Chuugen represent a significant financial strain on many young Japanese. These are gifts given to superiors, mentors, and teachers as expressions of gratitude and respect. The pressure to provide high-quality gifts, often expensive food or drink items like high-grade sake or elaborate sweets, adds considerable expense, particularly for younger workers with limited disposable income. This custom is criticized for its obligatory nature, forcing gifts upon individuals who aren't necessarily deserving of such extravagant tokens of appreciation, rather than genuine recognition of specific relationships. While seen as a gesture of respect and gratitude, the compulsory aspect and high cost are deterrents for many, highlighting a growing disconnect between tradition and modern sensibilities.